Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey.
How we doing? Oh man. Look at this. All right, so we have Mr. Product over here. I mean Austin. Let's jump right into it, guys. Hunter, of course. Some of you may know me already. I do community strategy here at Off-Chain Labs, contributor to the Arbitrum ecosystem, and really excited to be running this. Nice, I like that, Mr. Product Austin. Really excited to be running this live stream today to talk a little bit about Stylus, this release on Arbitrum Sepolia, and a ton more. Joined today, of course, by Austin, who also does product at Off-Chain Labs as well. How's it going, Austin?
It's going well, Hunter. Yeah, excited to talk about Stylus and like the large amount of progress we've made since the last time we've hosted a live stream, and talk about just like what the Stylus Blitz is. Should be fun.
Sweet. Yeah, I think like, we're gonna have a couple things I think to kind of go over today. I think maybe before we jump into kind of like the details of Stylus itself and kind of the details of Blitz, can you maybe give us an intro maybe on like what your role within kind of Stylus is and like, how you've kind of built it up to where it is right now?
Yeah, definitely. So like always hard to define like what product does, whether it's in a tech company or a specific initiative. But for Stylus specifically, I'm mainly involved in decisions like that are not involving code, and almost acting as a nexus point between the many like cross-dimensional teams, cross-functional teams at Off-Chain Labs. So whether it be like marketing or partnerships that don't have all the context of being inside the like Stylus meetings every week and like progress on where we are from a code standpoint, I can help inform any information that leaves the company, whether it's through marketing or like BD. And then the other, I would say, like big responsibility is just in terms of like go to market and actual launches. There's a ton of coordination that needs to happen and a ton of prioritization that needs to be made in order to decide like what should be included in each launch. And so otherwise, if we didn't have prioritization, we would be building forever and not really shipping, which is what we want to avoid. So trying to balance that. And yeah, making sure everyone's on the same page is what I try to help out with Stylus. But yeah, it's quite a fun and fast-paced role. You're muted, Hunter.
Oh my God. It's like I'm a beginner at this, dude. I was going to say that I think, I think you described the product actually amazingly well. I think I've ever heard anyone describe product just like that. But I imagine it has to be probably like you just said, like a lot of fun, especially when you're working on like cutting edge tech that is Stylus, right? Could you maybe like give us I mean, I'm sure people have an idea of what Stylus is if they're watching it, but can you give us like a high level overview of what Stylus actually is and maybe what you've been working on?
Yeah, for sure. So for those that don't know, Stylus is essentially a new way to write smart contracts on Arbitrum chains. And so previously, you've only been able to write contracts in the EVM using Solidity or something else like Viper. Um, but now with Stylus, it introduces another VM, another virtual machine that sits next to the EVM that is based on something called WebAssembly. And what that means is that you can now write smart contracts in any programming language that compiles down to WebAssembly. And so that primarily includes Rust, but can also include languages like C, C++, Move, Cairo, Go. Like there's really there's really not too many limits on what language you can write smart contracts in. But primarily to start, it will be in Rust. And the major added benefit, aside from the new languages, is the efficiency. And so that stylus contracts will be like over 10 times more efficient if they are like relatively complex, and where stylus really shines are in use cases that are just not possible in the EVM. And so, like contracts that use a lot of computation, contracts that use a lot of memory, these things like will be orders of magnitude cheaper in Stylus, which is what's going to allow like a bunch of new applications to launch on Arbitrum.
Sweet. Yeah, I think it's cool because I've been in crypto personally, at least for a little while and for a long time, 2017 actually. Now that I think about it, 7 years, and you know, maybe it exists, but I haven't heard of that many like of chains with the ability to support multiple VMs in a way that's like they're all kind of the same citizen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, like this kind of I believe we're calling it multi VM, but to start
Right.
it'll just be two VMs, so dual VM, whatever you want to call it. It is like completely new architecture. And making these two VMs like interoperable with each other was a massive, massive engineering lift. And actually was only made possible because of design decisions made like years and years ago before Stylus was even conceived. And to maybe add some like context to that, like Arbitrum before Stylus was even an idea, um, Arbitrum Nitro, the tech stack, proves over WebAssembly. So when there is like a dispute between validators, the execution history of the chain is replayed in WASM. And so because we're already able to prove over that WASM, we just extended that to also allow user programs to be written in WASM. And so like what I always try to tell people is Stylus is not some massive like re-architecture of the entire tech stack. It's really just a natural extension of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's funny because it's like one of those things that like I think at its core seems very very complex in nature, especially when we're trying to describe it. But I think like the actual like result of it when we see projects and whatnot kind of building on it, it'll be a lot more tangible. And I think that's kind of where maybe we kind of shift the convo a little bit from the tech to maybe kind of just like teams and projects like what kind of teams projects do you kind of expect to be building with Stylus or maybe products you hope to be building on it?
Yeah, definitely. So there's probably two classes of projects I'm most looking forward to. One I would call like migrations, and so there's projects that can actually they can rewrite their Solidity code into Rust just for efficiency reasons. But there's also like a bunch of Rust applications that exist in other ecosystems in crypto already, whether that be like Solana or Near or CosmWasm. These projects can, I won't say like copy paste, but like relatively seamlessly migrate their apps to Arbitrum and tap into like the billions of dollars in liquidity entire ecosystem of apps and infrastructure already on the chain. And so that's pretty powerful. Whereas like normally, if you wanted to expand into the EVM, you're doing either a full rewrite of your code into Solidity, or you're launching on some like new chain that is bootstrapping its ecosystem from zero because these new VMs are such a new thing. And so the fact that we are adding this efficient VM to an existing chain that already has a liquidity is a game changer. So that's kind of the first class of projects I'd like to see. The second is just like applications that are building something that wasn't before possible in the EVM. And so like everyone knows, like the EVM is expensive, it's limited, it's slow. Whereas with Stylus, like this opens the door for a bunch of new applications to exist that is interoperable with the EVM. And so one example is this project called Renegade, who are building sort of this like private on-chain dark pool exchange that is only possible because of Stylus. They're using, well, their architecture is pretty complex, but they're using ZK proofs to maintain this privacy in part. And verifying CK proofs on chain is super expensive, and in the EVM, this would just not be feasible. It would never, even on a layer 2, would just be extremely expensive. And Stylus makes this super feasible and really just makes it cheap even for everyday use. And so these are types of projects that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, no, I think so. It's cool because there's definitely a couple of teams, Renegade including, I think that are going to be doing a lot of cool stuff. I'm also, at least personally, pretty excited too about people that are just like have decided to launch like Orbit chains because they know Stylus is coming, and like hopefully they'll have their own teams building on there, or like they'll utilize it for whatever they want to build. But I'm really excited about things that we don't know is even yet possible, I guess. That is, I think, by far is what I'm excited for.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we often get asked like what use cases we believe will be the most promising in Stylus, but like I'm a very big proponent of like the best use cases are ones that we can't come up with or like just guess beforehand. They will be conceived and created by like just super talented devs who want to be an early adopter of the technology.
Yeah. So before we jump into like the details for Stylus Blitz, the hackathon, is it worth maybe going over like whatever major milestones we hit from kind of last year when Stylus was first kind of started to be built on to today with the launch of Sepolia and of course Blitz?
Yeah, definitely. So there's been a ton of work since we originally launched the first testnet in August of 2022, or August of 2023, sorry, to today, and even recently in the past few months. So I would say like basically along every dimension got a bit better. Stylus itself it's cheaper. It's more efficient in terms of like contract size compression. There's better tooling support. Safety has been improved, and there's just new functionality. And I will say like most of these things live at the protocol level, so like at the virtual machine level, and there's a lot of work we still have to do on improving the developer experience in the SDK. However, like we don't want to block shipping this to mainnet as long as it's ready from a security standpoint, and we want to put this in people's hands as soon as possible. And we will like then begin shifting our focus entirely on developer experience. But in the meantime, like we've spent all of our efforts, most of our efforts on improving the VM itself. And so people will notice when using it. Just like if you were using it in September of last year and log on today again and want to try it out again, you'll see that like your binaries are smaller, your gas fees are cheaper, that there's a bunch of new features that like are all pretty exciting.
Sweet. Yeah, then I think with that, probably hopping into the to what Stylus Blitzes could probably help. Like I heard there's like 15,000 in grants or something like that. What's going on there?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, Stylus Blitz, it's like a mini hackathon, mainly aimed at like driving some cool like activity and use cases on Arbitrum Sepolia. So like previously, Stylus was just on private test nets, or sorry, not private test nets. They were public, but they were standalone test nets. And these are good for testing, but you also didn't have access to all of the like applications and infrastructure and composability that exist on Arbitrum Sepolia. Arbitrum Sepolia is really mimicking a production environment. And so because Stylus is now on Arbitrum Sepolia, developers have a lot more ways to experiment and compose with EVM applications and infrastructure, which I think will be an extremely important use case for Stylus. And so yeah, the Stylus Blitz is aimed at promoting this composability between the EVM and Stylus. And so yeah, we're giving out like $15,000 to a few participants who are able to build something cool or useful. And we hope that like we get a bunch of quality people building on top of Arbitrum Sepolia.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I guess it's probably worth touching on too. So would teams like Renegade be applying to stuff like this, or is it just going to be just net new teams that I'm trying to get, to your knowledge?
They're certainly free to.
Yeah.
I think that they're established enough that this would what they could submit would be overkill for the purposes of this hackathon. And I do believe that like for the purposes of the hackathon, like what is submitted should be developed within the window that it's open, which is like this week and next week. Right. So 2 weeks to build something, whereas Renegade's been working for close to a year on their contracts.
Got you. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I guess then because it probably won't apply for those teams. Are there any other teams that maybe we should highlight that are also building on Stylus? You said Renegade. I think Superposition's technically one of them, right?
Yeah, no, I mean Superposition is definitely one of them. They're building what's called a long tail AMM, and it's all in Rust. All of their contracts are in Rust. They've actually ran some benchmarks and found that their concentrated liquidity AMM, which is essentially like Uni v3 model, is the cheapest like Uni v3 model AMM on Arbitrum. And is even cheaper than some like just like normal AMMs too. So they're actually like proving in real time that that like Stylus is great for efficiency and can cut gas costs. And I'm quite excited about them and their ability to drive liquidity and DEX volume to their platform.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm so excited to see this stuff. Especially, I think also what I'm excited for, especially about Blitz, is kind of seeing like people experimenting with obviously not only deploying Rust-based smart contracts, but how they'll actually interact with the Solidity ones. That'll be really cool.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. And the cool thing about Stylus is like you'll be able to literally mix and match Rust and Solidity code. So it's like,
oh wow.
If there's a component of your application that would benefit from efficiency, like just break out that component itself and write that in Rust, and then the rest of your application can exist in Solidity, because like they produce the same interface that you can interact with these contracts you can split these up by language rather than just like deploying it all as a single language.
Yeah, that's awesome. And in that case, then the Stylus Hackathon happening now. When should we expect maybe this to hit kind of either like I guess there's probably two questions to this. When can we expect this maybe to hit Arbitrum 1/Nova mainnet? And when can this maybe be expected to be applied to like Orbit chains today?
Yeah, definitely. So for Arbitrum 1 and Nova, currently the way this process has been going, like the governance process, is Stylus, which is part of the ArboS 30 upgrade, which includes some some other improvements as well. Has been discussed on the forum. It's been put up on Snapshot to have like sort of an off-chain temperature check vote, which passed almost unanimously. And next step is one, like having some time to test it on Arbitrum Sepolia, make sure everything's okay in terms of like compatibility with the rest of the ecosystem. And then once we feel pretty confident there, then we'll move on to an on-chain vote on Tally. And so once Stylus is posted for an on-chain vote, there's a small delay before the vote begins. Then there's like a week or two where the vote is actually happening. Then the vote ends. If it passes, there's another small delay before it's actually executed. But once it's executed, Stylus will be live on Arbitrum 1 and Nova. And that should be like we're hoping sometime in late Q3, so soon. And yeah, for Orbit chains, they're free to adopt it basically whenever. The current release of Stylus is a release candidate, and so we do expect this to be the version that gets shipped on mainnet. However, like we are still undergoing some testing on Arbitrum Sepolia. Orbit chains are free to adopt it whenever, but we'll probably be more comfortable adopting it once we post the on-chain vote and sort of lock that version in.
Sweet. Yeah, no, this stuff is moving quick. It's funny because it's been probably in development for a long time, but it feels like now it's kind of going pretty quickly. It feels like it's like pretty much right here. It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a ton of work that has led up to this moment. And so testnet, big milestone.
Sweet. So I think probably the best way to end things off, I guess, is like for those who do want to get involved in Blitz today, like what would you recommend, I guess, for them to get started? Any resources or whatnot?
Yeah, no. I mean, I first and foremost would check out the blog post on like Arbitrum's Medium account. We also or like the Arbitrum account tweeted about it yesterday. And so which links to the blog post. And then in the blog post, or you can go look at them on your own, are like the Stylus documentation. So whether that be like understanding it from a high level using the gentle introduction, or just diving right in and going through the quick start would be my recommendation on how to get started. And from there, build whatever you find interesting and submit it through the Google form that's linked in the blog post. And we should be getting back to you in early July.
Sweet. Exciting stuff, guys. Exciting stuff. Awesome. Well, I guess with that one, hopefully we'll kind of be able to experience maybe what you guys are building, either on CT if you guys are posting about it, or when you submit it for the hackathon. But yeah, Austin, appreciate you for coming on today and giving us the info.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Of course. All right, I think we can close on out.
All right. Bye.